Well, greetings, YouTube model people. How's it going? Okay, coming in here with a Wonderfest 2022 model show contest recap. That's exactly where I went this past weekend. Tonight is Tuesday night, June 7th. If I got that right, I think I do. So here was my basically my lanyard to get into the show, and all that good stuff. So very cool, not extinct. See that? Very neat, right? Look at him with his paintbrushes. Pretty cool. So yeah, it was a very well run show. Had a ton of fun. And like is most cases, when you have the opportunity to meet and hang out with your fellow model builders, especially those in the YouTube community, it is a lot of fun. And I was so fortunate that I was able to hang out with a few folks. We hung out with Brian, BG's Model Workshop, and his wife, Mrs. BG, Linda, basically. We hung out with Daniel, Munchkin Model Man 72, and we hung out with Tim, Throttle Power. Yeah, I was, again, spent a lot of time with them at different points, hanging out. And we had some great conversations about anything and everything. And again, it's just a true delight to spend time with those folks. They were all very nice people. Again, that's why I always encourage people to go to your model shows and contests, because not only do you get to talk about the hobby, with just maybe complete strangers, because, whatever, that's always fun. But if you have an opportunity, certainly, to go somewhere where there's going to be a couple of YouTube model builders, you'll have a ton of fun hanging out with them. And that's exactly what happened here. So again, to all those folks that I had met, spoke and spent time with, I should say, I really enjoyed it. And, we'll hope to meet and greet and chat at some future show someday. So the show itself is very interesting. It's mostly based on horror and sci-fi subjects, and lots of figures, and there are some vehicles. So again, with sci-fi, those vehicles would be, stuff like, spacecraft from all kinds of movies. Certainly Star Wars and Star Trek are represented, but there's also other things as well. As far as horror, vehicles, there weren't too many, but there were a couple. So that kind of thing. But most of it's figures, and maybe even, subjects with multiple figures in it. So we're going to actually post up a slideshow. The pictures kind of move fast. There's more than one picture on the screen at a time. But, what I typically do when people put slideshows together of stuff is I just pause where I want to take a look at something. If I don't like the music that's playing, I pick some generic music, just instrumental. If you don't like that, just turn the sound down and all that good stuff. But yeah, again, the slideshow is going to move a little bit fast. So again, be ready with the pause button or whatever rewind button on YouTube, and you can, take your time and take a closer look, if you will. Some of them aren't too good. Some of them got chopped off because of the format of the slideshow itself. I've never used it before, so it's something new. But most of it, worked out pretty well. So, getting on to some of the things I picked up at the show. Well, I did have a little tiny bit of damage, very little, to my Freddy Krueger. That was what I brought to the show, my Freddy Krueger bust. So I needed some touch-up paint for brown on his hat, and a little bit of his skin tone on his, believe it or not, on the bottom of his chin. So that was the first thing I did. As soon as the vendor tables opened up, I went in there to see what I could find paint-wise. I went and found these MIG airbrush or oil brusher, MIG oil brushers. They're $5 a piece. I don't know if that's really worth that much, but again, they are oil paints, and it's pretty neat because this is a long brush in here, and you just kind of give it a shake, and then you use the brush and you basically paint the area you're interested in painting, which was incredibly helpful with what I had to try to do. So I got a couple of different colors here. Wasn't exactly sure what color would work best. So what I had done was I got these three colors, and then I had a piece of paper and just took the brushes and kind of dragged them across the paper, white paper, plain white paper, and to see what colors look the best for my little touch-ups. And then also, that was great to use the paper to take most of the paint off. I only needed to dab a little bit on the model itself. So that, because oil paints would take forever to dry, but because I used a little bit and because I had this little brush here like this, it was super, super easy. So these worked out excellent. Worked out just perfectly, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So some other little things we got. We didn't get much as way of like expensive, big, sort of model kits. So I saw some really cool, smaller resin things that a guy had, excuse me, at a table. So in his little $5 bin or $3 bin, I don't remember, we had this little car here with a big skeleton kind of thing with brains sticking out, I guess that is. I thought that was really neat looking. So again, this is just a solid piece of resin, pretty heavy, pretty sturdy. So again, for I think it was $5, I thought that was pretty cool. Another thing at that table, which they had examples of this painted, I thought was super neat, because I remember the TV show, The Land of the Lost, and this was pretty well done cast of the sleeve stack, or at least one of them. So I actually have an example of this painted as well, that they had at the vendor table. So it's a picture of it anyway. And it just really comes out really, really nice. I mean, I don't know that I can even come close to what the person who painted that did as far as the result, but the basic premise of the detailing, as you can see, all the scaling and everything is really well defined. So yeah, it's pretty cool piece. This was I think this was $10, maybe 15. Like, it wasn't very much in my opinion. Then they had some freebie stuff, which was kind of neat. They were kind of odd things. So I picked one that sort of looked like something. The others didn't really look like much. They were kind of really bizarre. But I picked this dude here out as, again, a part of the freebie resin table. And I guess it's supposed to be kind of like a frog of some sort. So I thought he was pretty neat. So again, it's just something to play around with and paint with. And again, that's solid resin. And while we're on the topic of solid resin, here, actually, this is the one item I did splurge on a little bit, because it wasn't the cheapest in the world. I'm a huge, not only Star Wars is my favorite movie, but Jaws, the original 1975, is a favorite of mine. So we'll show you something from that in a moment. And then another really great movie from my childhood and growing up was the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Really, all those first three films are great, but the original was my favorite of the film series. And so they had a couple different things that you can buy at this one particular vendor table, from Raiders of the Lost Ark or the Temple of Doom and all that. So I decided on getting this, the classic Raiders of the Lost Ark fertility idol prop, right? So this is a pretty big box, sort of. And let me tell you something. This thing, this is it right here. And you can see my hand, pretty good size. I think it's almost exactly prop size. I think that's why it says prop, to tell you the truth. This thing is at least 5 pounds, if not 6 pounds of solid material. I mean, this thing is like, you could really, you could get serious with this and really, if you drop that on your foot, you just broke your foot. Basically, this thing is, as I said, at least 5 to 6 pounds in weight. So what's really neat about this is, once you get it a little bit cleaned up here, which isn't very much, just a few little touch-ups in spots, and you wash it off and get it all, all the resin release off there, all you do is have to spray paint this and you're done. There's no pieces to assemble. There's no seams to fill. There's, again, just a little bit of cleanup, some sanding and washing, and that's it. It's a done deal. Now this I got for a little bit of a funny gag gift from a friend of mine. I'm going to probably add it to his Christmas gift when I see him, because he's a huge Raiders fan too. At that same vendor, they had these, one or two of these packs, unopened packs of Raiders of the Lost Ark trading cards, which is pretty neat. And again, going back to Jaws for a moment, this was pretty cool. I thought this would look good. Hopefully someday I could put up a little, I have several Jaws things that I bought over the years. different pictures and plaques and things, and maybe I could display this with that, along with maybe some model kits, that kind of thing, which is an example or replica of the license plate they pulled out of the Tiger Shark, which they had featured, right, when basically Brody and Matt Hooper went at night to go cut open the shark on their own, which they weren't supposed to do. And one of the items they pulled out of the shark was was a license plate. I don't know if you remember that, but it was a pretty funny scene, because Brody goes, "He didn't need a car, did he?" He goes, "No." Someone probably threw that in the ocean, and that's why it's in the stomach of the shark. But anyway, all right, folks, that's 10 minutes plus. I'm sure that's enough from hearing from me. I invite you now to go over to the slideshow. Go check it out. Again, I know that Tim took definitely some pictures and videos of the show, so I'm sure he'll probably have more than I have to offer. But I put up what I have just because I might have a different angle on some of the projects, or lighting was different, or whatever it be. So I invite you to check it out. Even think Daniel Munchkin Man 72 might have taken some stuff that he's going to put up on the YouTube. I'm not positive. And the same thing with Mrs. BG. It's a slight chance she also took some video footage or pictures as well. So I invite you to go check out all those channels. I'm sure they'll have some kind of recap as well. So again, a great weekend, lots of fun, and that's about it, folks. We'll talk to you in a bit. Okay, cheers.